Hey there, everyone. It's Michelle McLean here, your health coach skills mentor, here with another tutorial for you today. And today we're talking all about how to give suggestions to your client as a health coach. So I've got some good tips for you today, but I want to start out by just sharing that I listen in to a lot of new health coaches practicing their coaching skills, and I hear this a lot. I see a lot of times, health coaches have this urge, this desire to want to provide a lot of suggestions and give advice to their clients. And, I can really relate to this. I get it. It is really a natural instinct for us to want to do this. And, it happens for a couple of different reasons. Number one, as new health coaches, you just might not feel like you know what real coaching is, right? You might not have the processes, the structures, the frameworks. You might not really understand what you're supposed to do during a coaching session. So you kind of default to giving suggestions and advice. Because this kind of brings me to my next point, because what you've probably been doing in your own life before you became a health coach was providing lots of suggestions and advice to your family and friends, right? That's typically what we do. We're really interested and we're passionate about health and well-being. So we want to tell other people what we're doing and we want to give them suggestions to help them. So I talked a lot about this last week when I talked about the writing reflex in our tutorial. So this natural desire to want to suggest and give advice and fix people, give them the solutions to their problems, right? So it's absolutely a natural instinct to want to do that. So as a new health coach, if you're feeling that desire, if you're feeling that urge, just become aware of it. And just notice, that you've got that sort of tendency to want to do that. The other thing, sort of the other opposite of the spectrum that I sometimes see happening with new coaches is they learn or they're told that they're not supposed to give suggestions and advice, so they never do it, right? So we've got, on the one hand, people who that's all they're doing in their coaching is suggesting and advising, recommending and telling people what to do. And then we've got the other end where we have coaches who are so scared, so worried, about doing it right, that they never give suggestions. And so we really, I want everyone to know here that yes, we can give suggestions. We fall somewhere in the middle, sort of on that spectrum, right? We're not 100% directive and we're not, non-directive either fully. We want to just find that right balance. And yes, we can give suggestions, but we just really want to do it in a coach-like way. We want to do it in a way that respects and honors the coaching relationship. So I've got 5 tips for you today on how you can give suggestions in this way, right? In a coach-like way that honors the coaching relationship. So the first tip that I have for you today is that when we're giving suggestions and not advising, right, these are suggestions, we always want to ask the client first, right? Suggestions are sort of the last resort. Our first tactic when it comes to coaching is always wanting to explore with the client, to elicit what they know, to just work through their ideas, their possibilities. We want to work through all of that, explore all of that before we give a suggestion. So timing comes into play here, right? Always start with asking the client first. So we want to help them sort of exhaust all the possibilities, all the ideas they have, all the resources they might be able to tap into. We want to exhaust and explore all of that first before we give our suggestion. So I wanted to give you a few tips on, what might that sound like? How can you help your client explore what they know, what their ideas and possibilities are? So some questions you might want to ask them would be things like, what do you know about this topic, this area, this idea that we're exploring? What do you already know about it? That's a great way to start getting them to talk about what they know. What's worked in the past for you, right? That's a great place to go to. Those past experiences, things that have worked for them are going to be great places to draw sources of ideas and potential. What do you want to try? Maybe your clients heard about a new diet or a new exercise trend or just something that a friend or a family member is doing, right? Like they might have just heard in their own circles, things that they're interested or intrigued by that they might want to try. So explore those with them. what haven't you tried, right? So what have you heard about? What haven't you tried? What would you like to try? All of those are great questions to just really elicit from the client. What might work for you here? You know, just if they're kind of drawing a blank, well, what could possibly work for you here in this instance? What's something you'd like to try? What might be a possibility here? And then, you know, what are a couple of ideas or thoughts that you have around this? So all those are just great questions to start eliciting, exploring with your client what they already know. So if they don't know, this brings us to tip number 2, like if they really come up with a blank, right? Nothing comes from those types of questions that can help them explore. If nothing comes, then you can absolutely do some brainstorming with your client. And this is actually going to be the topic of next week's tutorial. So in that tutorial, I'll get into exactly how you brainstorm with your client, and I'll give you some steps to do that. So that would be the next step. Not going to get into that today, but then definitely want to brainstorm with your client. So these are just, you know, these first 2 steps are all about brainstorming, coming up with ideas, and letting your client be in the driver's seat around their action plan and these ideas. So once you've gone through brainstorming and, you know, if there's still something there that you have, a suggestion or an idea, that's the time and place to bring it up. And what we want to do is absolutely ask for permission before we give the suggestion. So this is what keeps it coach-like, right? This is what keeps the client in the driver's seat, because they get to decide if they want your suggestion or not, right? You're just there as that resource, you know, helping them move through this. And, you know, it's, I might have a suggestion for you, you know, do you want it? Maybe once you've gone through those other pieces, you know, there isn't now an opportunity for you to provide a suggestion because the client's already come up with their own, which is really what we want to have happen, right? Again, these suggestions are sort of that last resort. So how do we ask for permission? You know, I want to give you some language, some phrases and words that you can use before we jump into the suggestion to ask that permission. So you might just ask, you know, may I share a couple of ideas with you? May I share what's worked with other clients, right? That's a great way. It's not necessarily what you've done, but here's some things that I know have worked for other people. I have some ideas to share. Is that okay for you? Would it be okay if I shared a suggestion with you? Would you be interested in a suggestion? Can I offer a suggestion? So those are all just great ways to make sure that you're checking in with the client first, they're open and ready for a suggestion, and they're in the driver's seat because they're going to make the decision if they want your suggestion or not, right? So what happens next is chances are your client's going to say yes. They usually do, right? They're usually open to your suggestions. If they say no, right? If they say, well, no, I've, you know, got all these great ideas that I'd really like to try. Maybe, you know, for whatever reason, they don't want your suggestion. You absolutely must respect that, right? Because this is, again, keeping the client in the driver's seat. So if they say no, you have to respect that, pardon me, and we just move on. So if they say yes, they are open to your suggestion, then how you share your suggestion is really, really important. So that would be the 4th step. You would move into sharing the suggestion. So what I want to just highlight here is that your suggestion is not directive. This is not telling them what to do. It's not advising. This is not, you should do this, right? It's very neutral. This is not imposing your ideas. This is not coming with your own personal biases about what the client should do. We're really trying to keep it very, very neutral, right? I'm just offering you this idea, this suggestion. You get to choose what you do with it. So we really want to make sure that this is not coming across as my expert advice telling you what to do. Right, so when you're giving your suggestion, I really want you to think about your language. So try not to use you a lot, like you should do this, or, you know, have you thought about this? Because those are going to be leading, right? So we want to use it more as examples. Oh, I heard about this, or, you know, as I said earlier, some things that have worked for other clients are this, right? So we just want to keep it very general and not like we're telling, recommending, or really advising the client to do. We're just providing an option here. So you can share then your suggestion, which is really just, like a small short. It's not a big, explanation or plan. You're really just sharing, here's an idea, here's a suggestion that I have. And then the final step, the fifth step here, is to always come back and bring it back to the client to make the final decision. So whatever you share, you then say, okay, how does that resonate with you? What might you want to do with this information? So coming back to the client so they can make the final decision about what they want to do with that suggestion, right? Again, keeping them in the driver's seat. So how might you phrase this? How could you come back to wrap it up with them in the driver's seat? How does that sound, right? You share a suggestion, so how does that sound to you? What do you think about that suggestion? How does that suggestion land for you? Does it resonate with you at all? Then you might want to say, now that you've got a variety of ideas and suggestions, things that might have come up through the brainstorming, things that came up, through their own ideas. Now that you've got all of these ideas, what do you want to do with them? What do you want to try? What's the first step that you want to take around this, right? And so then you're going to move into sort of your action planning, your goal setting phase of the session. And then you're going to put it back onto the client to decide things like, hows, the whats, the whens. What are they going to do with all of these great ideas and suggestions that they have? So that's going to be on them to come up with the specifics of the action plan. So just to recap those 5 tips that I shared with you today, always ask the client first what they know about a certain topic, elicit from them first, help them explore what they know. Then if they don't know, you can do some brainstorming, which we'll talk about next week. After the brainstorming, you ask permission to share a suggestion. Then you would share the suggestion, and then you would come back to the client to really help them figure out what do they want to do with the suggestion and the information that they've been given. So those are my 5 tips for how to give suggestions with your health coaching clients, and I hope those have been helpful. If you have any questions at all, you could just post those in the comments and I'd be happy to answer them. And I also just wanted to let you all know today that I do have just a short, quick sale happening on my Health Coaching Essentials self-study course today and tomorrow. So if you're interested in up-leveling your health coaching skills, digging more deeply into these coaching topics and getting a structure and a framework to really guide your clients through an effective coaching process, then I would love to have you check out that course. The website, it's a bit of a mouthful and I will post it in the comments below, but you can find that at gethealthcoachskills.com/HCE self-study, and I will put it in the comments. And if you use the promo code SAVE100 today, then you'll get a $100 discount off on that course. So that deal is available until tomorrow, Saturday, October, that is going to be the 17th. No, the 16th. All right, everyone. I hope this has been helpful for you today. Thanks for tuning in, and any questions at all that you have, please post them below and I'd be happy to answer them. Have a great day. Bye for now.